na, yeah. It's the Tulum Crypto Fest, the Tulum Crypto Fest. By nature and tech, you'll be impressed. It's the Tulum Crypto Fest, the Tulum Crypto Fest. Chance to connect with the best. En la selva maya we'll find our way. Co-creando soluciones day after day. For nature and our prosperity. Here you'll set your creativity free. We'd root so deep in ancestral times. We honor their wisdom, we honor the earth and serve the Most High. Visiones nos guían, our spirits fly. Through nature verse, we touch the moon, the sky. It's the Tulum Crypto Fest, the Tulum Crypto Fest.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you. So if you didn't know, this is on artificial intelligence and emotional intelligence, which is a really important and hot topic. My name is Jamie. I am the moderator. When I told people I was doing this, I got a lot of articles, a barrage of articles about AI and how intense and possibly dangerous this is. So it's a great topic to talk about in an important way. So I'm going to introduce our panelists, and they're going to talk about what they do and their role in AI and emotional intelligence. And then we have a great group of questions to ask them. And then if we have time, we'll take some questions. So if you have anything come up while we're talking, please remember that, because we want to hear back from you. So Andre.
Hey everyone, my name's Andre. I went to UC Berkeley for computer science, so I've studied that and have been professionally working as a software developer for the past 10 years. About 5 years ago, I started my personal journey to do my personal development and inner growth, and now I'm starting a business to help people with their personal development and their inner growth. So I kind of shifted from this very logical mindset and way of being to this kind of energetic, emotional, ooey gooey kind of way of being. And I'm starting a business now to coach people on that, helping them get in tune with their inner energy and stuff that, the aspect of us that makes us uniquely human, which is something that computers will probably never really be able to do because they're not made of life energy the way we are. So my new focus is on the emotional intelligence and the kind of emotional energetic stuff. But my background is the software developing side of things, very logical. So I'm very excited to see where this panel goes as well and what we talk about, but that's my background.
Well, got it on here.
Hi, my name is Vanessa, and I founded a project called Seeds with the vision of merging immersive and physical spaces to its consciousness. I'm coming from the business, actually. I'm a business engineer, and I worked for more than 11 years in corporations, like in various fields of business, marketing, and team management also, in luxury, in cosmetics, in retail. And that was my first contact with emotional intelligence. I still coached and started an entrepreneurial project on that, on brand strategy and on go-to-markets. And when you take on the brand management perspective, what makes brands strong? What makes that you win the heart and the mind of people, of your consumers, and what makes that you're going to stay in their heart and not get overwhelmed by competition at first? So there is a brand management part, and then there is the whole leadership part in the management. Yeah, the management of teams, and how do you lead teams to business success? Now we're really talking about business and making money and profitability out of it. Like there are a bunch of really great leadership tools and really great leadership models, but if you can't connect to empathy and to connectedness to your teams, how do you win it on the long term, and how do you make it sustainable, like really sustainable as a business and as a humanity? So that was really like my first contact with emotional intelligence, where I was like, oh wow, so talking about emotions, I had not sketched it. I certified myself as a life coach also, and I practice as it. And there again, that's when you give knowledge, when you share knowledge on how to use emotions to people, to you, to me, to everyone. Like just right now, sitting on the stage, like it's stressful. How do you use that? How do you regulate that? It really empowers people. It makes you go to what you believe in, what you really want to do. And so again, it was a second touch with emotional intelligence. And then I have my personal story of hypersensitivity and how well the brain works, atypic brains that makes me like I'm an empath and I feel emotions like very softly inside me, which makes it sometimes a bit hard in this society, but which also is a superpower. And all those things combined made me want to create a program, like I created a workshop, an emotional intelligence and leadership aimed essentially at tech entrepreneurs, because I coached some tech startups also, so I got some other business startups. All that leadership part and connecting to yourself, connecting to others, and connecting to a greater purpose, having the knowledge and the possibility to unlock emotional courage, to face fear, to face guilt, to face all the things that you don't want to face, and to act and to go beyond that. It's something that can be taught, and that's the good news. And that's a bit all of that made me a bit like you believe in the merging of the two, of emotional intelligence in the hands of artificial intelligence, the two together. Because if you really want to, like, AI is super strong and is growing super fast. And I really do believe that with empowering humans with what they have, namely emotions, and giving them the right tools to connect to themselves and empower that, we can really like work hand in hand and build a better future. And that's what I believe in.
Hi everyone, I'm Isabel Bedoya. I'm the founder of marketingpros.ai. My background comes from digital marketing, influencer marketing. I used to work in an agency where I ran influencer campaigns for like Fortune 500 brands, even some Fortune top 10. And in the process, when I parted ways and I started my own agency, I realized the power of AI. I started using AI a lot for like not so much for like the content creation side of things, but more so for like the processes, empowering my team members and helping them with their marketing processes. And in the process, I realized that the biggest thing is people have this fear as soon as they realize the power of AI. It's immediately, oh my gosh, it's an existential crisis. What am I doing here? What have I been learning? All of that. So that motivated me to start Marketing Pros AI with .ai, which is essentially teaching other organizations and brands and even law firms, which has been kind of exciting, teaching them how to use AI in their marketing and how to also coach their team members to not go through that that little bit of existential crisis, that kind of thing. So I'm really grateful to be here, and I'll pass your phone.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to open it up with specific questions about artificial intelligence and emotional intelligence. When you're ready for the questions. So, what is the role of emotional intelligence in a world that is increasingly dominated by artificial intelligence? And how can we really ensure that AI is designed with empathy and ethical consideration?
Ooh. Oh man, I have to go first?
Repeat the question if you need to.
There was two parts. What's the role of EI?
Emotional intelligence in a world increasingly dominated
by artificial intelligence.
And then how can we ensure that it's ethical?
Yeah. How do we ensure that it's ethical? That's up to the creators of it, right? The people who are creating the AI, it's their responsibility to, and I don't know enough about the technology behind the models and how it all really works, because it really can develop a mind of its own, right? So we have to do our best to at least give it parameters, and we have to give it rules to make decisions. Like, this came out when Tesla released the self-driving cars, right? There will be a situation where a Tesla will have to decide who dies, that person or that person. An AI is going to have to make that decision. So it's really up to the developers at Tesla to keep all of that in mind. As far as the emotional intelligence side, I think it's up to us humans to stay human. Really, it's really easy to get distracted by technology and by the dopamine providing smartphones. And I think it's our responsibility to stay emotionally intelligent to ourselves and in our relationships and our connections with other people. And that takes a practice of being aware of yourself and having a strong, I think, mind-body connection, because that is what makes us human, right? Is really that emotional intelligence within ourselves. And once you understand kind of yourself and your own emotions and are intelligent within yourself, and you understand your experience, then you will understand the human experience in general and kind of everybody else. So it's going to take some effort, I think, on everybody's part individually to kind of maintain that within themselves. And then when you live in a community of people who live that way, it's just more amazing. The connections I've made here in the past 24 hours with some of these amazing people are better than the connections I have back home, because we're all at this kind of, for lack of a better word, more emotionally intelligent state, right? So that's what I think. That's my take. It takes some personal work for us to kind of stay human within this world of computers running everything.
Well, going back to the three parts of the questions, like I really like what you do with what you said about the example of Tesla, and I would like to go further back to it after also, because it's a known but super, super important example on ethics and what you choose. Like, do you choose a very bad thing or an even badder thing, and how do you judge bad or good? Like, it's almost coming to the essence of human and humanity. But like back to the first question, which would be like, what is the role of emotional intelligence with artificial intelligence? I think it also depends on first the building, like you mentioned, and then second, like what's the outcome that you expect out of it? Like, do you expect to use AI to build a business and to make something out of it? Because then again, it's gonna be humans and robots whatsoever, but there's still gonna be humans behind it, and you're still gonna have like business model, make it happen, have marketing, finance, and everything to make it happen in this 3D world, which is the reality in which we live. And when you go on that perspective, is more really like looking at the business and the people behind. Like, I work for a startup in tech. I personally saw a CEO's lack of vision and like the ego of a person, of a human, emotions, just ruining the whole potential of a team. And we talk about AI, we talk about tech, for example. There is tremendous potential when we look at the tech on paper, but then it has to happen, you know? It has to happen. It's not going to happen by itself. So humans, as from now on, which goes to the second question, humans are still going to make it happen. So how do you embark on that vision? How do you, for example, as a startup tech, a tech startup CEO, how do you make it that the tech objectives match with the commercial objectives, and that you really make it happen and make a success out of it? So that would be like the first part of what I think about it. And then going back to the ethics and the empathy, like there is a lot of knowledge that has to be shared about that, and there is a bunch of super great research. Like we're now just sharing about it, but people are really experts on the topic. And when you look back at AI, you have different types of things that are named AI. You have the machine learning, like I'm not going to come into the details of that, but machine learning is basically like being able to catch data and treat it much more faster and learn from it also, but much more faster than the human brain could do. Then what's coming next is the artificial general intelligence. I think it's AGI, integrating emotions. So I think your question goes like also in two parts. Is the ethics like how you're going to integrate emotions? Can we really expect from an AI to use emotions and have the same output, empathy, like humans? Or should we instead talk about human empathy, artificial empathy, and just consider it as two different things with like two different skills? And I think that would be like one of the best and the most peaceful outcomes of it, to really consider them as separate skills with, of course, many things that come across each other. And again, is the why. Why do you use human empathy? Why do you want to use it? Why do you use artificial empathy? And why do you want to use it? And it comes back to intention for me. And well, I guess that's also one of the is we're going to discuss after, but the intention behind it is super strong and has to come first.
So when it comes down to both AI and EI, definitely, definitely intention does matter. There's a lot of things already headlining the news of bad actors, right, doing scams, pretending to be, there's one popular right now, like the grandmother scam or something like that, where they call with like the grandmother's voice, pretend that something's happening. So we're starting to see more of that. And I don't know if anyone saw the 60 Minutes report that just came out a few days ago, and where they were pretty much giving an example of Bard, which is kind of like ChatGPT, but Google's version. And it was interesting because it really, when it comes down to like AI or like my use case with AI, a lot of it has been with ChatGPT. When it comes down to that, it's predictive. So it's predicting what it's going to say based on all the information that it's gathered and learned from. So in cases like that, if you prompt it, prompting, if you're not familiar with when you give, like an input, like something that you wanted to do. There was an example that they did, like for sale, new shoes, or no baby, something like that. Like it was something related to like a child, and Bard created this poem that tapped into a little bit of an emotional answer. And it was interesting because it's not emotional, but it was able to predict that it was going to be an emotional response. So this is where we have to, differentiate that at the end of the day it is AI. It still needs humans. It needs humans to like interact or to create what it is that we need to create. And it goes back to like, what Andre was saying too about of how it comes down to like the bad actors, right? You have to be ethical around it, because it's up to the creator, whoever is creating the prompt, right? That's usually what matters. So that's really your question.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
And something that you were saying that's not really in my next question, but is there a virtue with us moving faster or using AI to go faster? I mean, our world is already like go, 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 and that's having a lot of consequences that I think we don't really think about. And the practices that we do can slow us down. So I'll get to that later, but the kind of a part C to this question is, can we teach emotional intelligence? And as far as our educational systems are, like, how can we integrate that? Can we even integrate that when you look at the state of, the educational system as it is?
Yeah, really good question. Can you teach it? Yeah, we can teach it. There's a book called Emotional Intelligence. I think I read it 7, 8 years ago, and it didn't make sense to me. I was pretty out of tune with myself back then. I think the way you teach it is kind of what I was saying before. You have to learn it within yourself first, right? And that's the AI, right? The AI is going to learn emotional intelligence in whatever scale that it does by reading about it from what we give it. But humans, we can learn it within ourselves, right? Your second part of the question, which was, can we teach it in the educational system? I mean, that gets into politics, which I don't really touch. Can it be done? Yes. Will it ever be done? I hope so. Chances are, probably not. But I hope it does. And I think it depends. Some schools or some states are trying new types of school systems. I'm not too familiar with them. But there's a lot of things that could be taught in schools in our current educational system that aren't, and would be beneficial if they were. But then you get into, parents complaining about why this teacher is teaching my kid this thing this way. Let me discipline my kid. Let me teach my kid, right? So like, it gets hairy. It really can. But I think we can and should teach emotional intelligence to each other, to your kids when you have kids, right? To the next generation, and then that's going to kind of carry forward. So I think it starts with yourself. If you were not taught emotional intelligence before, I was not, right? I can break the chain by learning it myself and then teaching it to my kids and to my friends.
Yeah, I totally agree with your point. Yes, yes, it can be taught, and yes, it should be taught. Like yes, 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 like 3 times should be like the first thing that would be taught. But then that also raises a question: like, do we expect the system or educational system to feed us with that, or are we going to look for that? Because I mean, it might be a bit drastic, but it's not an excuse that the context doesn't provide us something that we don't go look for it. And if you want to empower individuals and empower children, like we're now talking about children and next generations, yes, tackling into their emotions, understanding them and using them, managing them, regulating them is so important. It's key. Like it's really the key of everything. Like we were talking a bit before about emotional courage. It's empowering. It's like even more empowering than any AI. Like when the day that you are okay to feel some fear, to don't go pitch that project that you believe so much in, or don't have that conversation that is gonna make you feel so uncomfortable, or feel the doubts, feel the uncertainty, feel all those things that make you have such that super uncomfortable feeling in your body, because your body is telling you like, no, 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 please, I don't want to go there. But yes, that is there. That is exactly right there. And there is that famous quote that also says that's where fear is that you should go, and that's exactly that. So I guess teaching emotional intelligence and especially empowering children, adults with emotional courage, having the courage to feel those emotions that we don't want to feel and to act with them, to act boldly and to work through them. It's empowering people. So of course it's not the topic of the debate now, but is the current system wanting individuals to be empowered? Open question. Open question. And
Big question.
that's one of those. So is it taught yes or no? That's one topic. Can it be taught? Yes. Like basically, emotional intelligence is about perceiving emotions, like for yourself and for others. It's about perceiving them, understanding what it is, understanding that feeling sadness is not the same thing that feeling anger, whatever the behavior behind it. Because you might have people wanting to punch somebody in the face just because they're sad, not because they're angry. And that's a huge difference into the conversations that you can have with people and with the conversation you have with yourself. And yeah, like we're not gonna have a whole lesson of emotional intelligence right now, but that's it. Like the regulation, the management, the use of it. How do you build contexts that help you and support you to go through what you want, because you know there's gonna be emotions. So yes, it can be taught, and definitely it should be taught. And if it's not coming to you, go and grab it. Just go and do it, because that's gonna make the huge difference in your life and the ones of the others.
And can I say something? Can I grab it real quick? Or
So I definitely
maybe
agree.
afterwards.
Emotional
I'll say something at the end.
intelligence should be taught, especially in the educational system. A lot of the times, a lot of people come to it when they're in their adulthood. And as a society, we probably could perform a lot better if we knew how to be more emotionally intelligent. Now, when it comes down to AI coming into the school system, it's a question more of, is it going to be allowed, but also are kids already using it? Because I know a lot of people that are already using it, even though their schools haven't even made a stance on it. So it might be this thing that it just stays underground for the students. I do think though that it should be a topic of conversation, and it's only a part of our evolution, right? This has happened many times. Every time we go through like another paradigm shift, it's a new mentality that we have to pretty much empower other people to adopt, and that can be challenging. So yeah, I think for both emotional intelligence and artificial intelligence is something that everybody should be doing their due diligence to learn and to adopt into their life.
I just wanted to say one more thing from what you were saying about kids. It's so much easier to learn your emotions when you're a kid. Because when we're an adult, we've got 3 decades or more of shutting them down and bottling them up. So it's way easier to learn. So should we teach it? Totally, because if you don't, it's a lot harder to learn it as an adult. So definitely starting, teaching it to kids when they're young is, the way to go.
What you said about Tesla struck me and scared me at the same time. Terrified me, actually, is more like the correct word.
Yeah.
But one of the questions is, how can we ensure that AI doesn't have bias or doesn't discriminate. And that's the case, but it's a really valid question. And if you have any more information about your comment, I would certainly love to hear it, because I just never thought of that ever.
Do you want to take this one first?
You got it. Yeah.
How do you make sure AI is not biased? It's based on the input that you give it, right? AI learns from massive amounts of data, and the data that it gets is what it's going to use to make its answers. So if it's learning off of Anglo-Saxon English, that's its knowledge base. It is going to be biased, right? If it learned off of English that was translated from some other language, it's going to be biased based on that translation. A big part of AI, and maybe Isabella might have more to talk about this, is just natural language processing. And you have to, I don't know enough about how AI is taught in different languages, but you have to teach it how to understand English, and then teach it to understand Spanish, and then the next language, and the next language. And that's just language. That doesn't even bring race into the question, right? So it's probably an insanely complex thing to solve, to have it be unbiased. Maybe having just checks within the logic of, like, it made a decision, kind of like rocket science. Like, one decision gets made, and then the next, like, 30 seconds at least is just checking that answer to make sure it's the right answer and that no one's going to die. Maybe that kind of thing happens here. Maybe a decision is made by the AI, and then the next set of things to, before it outputs that answer, is checking, is this biased? You know, am I hurting anybody? Or, you know, having some checks around that. Yeah, I'm not too sure.
It's a good question.
Yeah, I totally join you, and well, some of you might be familiar also with the term of cognitive biases. Like, the brain has a lot and many cognitive biases, and you said, like, everything that has to be said about that is how do we ensure that AI does or does not have those biases. So I guess it's about learning, again, like learning and putting in different situations that makes the machine have conclusions out of it, which is basically AI. But yeah, I just want to be a bit more like opposite to the question itself, because I really got into wondering, are we not expecting things from an AI that we ourselves as humans are not doing? And why are we, it goes back to the intention again, it really goes back to the intention. Because it seems to me that that whole debate, which is a good one, which is the one that has to happen, there has to be rules or thoughts and things that are said about it. But are we not now expecting from an AI that it has no biases, no nothing, that it is straight? Like, what is straight? What is right? What is good? What is bad? Like, we as humans, we just can't define that. That's part of the thing that we can't define, that energy that we were talking about from the beginning is another topic, but it's also something that we can't define. And it seems to me that, of course, that, like, don't misunderstand me, there has to be a discussion about AI ethics and like a bit of a way of a guidance, an intention behind it. But in the end, are we not expecting from an AI that it has no bias? Why, just like by sitting here, we have biases. In every conversation you have with somebody, you have your biases. You're so unconscious of it, like only 5% of our brain is conscious, right? And when 95% is unconscious. So it seems to me, and I have to say that I'm a bit uncomfortable and a bit like not so happy about the topic itself, because it is not like human ego to ask of a machine and of AI to be able to do something that themselves they don't do, and is it not shifting the attention to another place than the one inside where they should go? And like right now we're facing a tremendous change, like global change, huge change, and it's going so quickly also. And it's really time that humans go and look inside. You were talking about the inside. That's where the answers are. Of course, the same is gonna come with AI also. But go and have a look inside, get help, some of the others, share, like sharing our paths and how we have each and every one of us walk the path with humility and with biases, and they're gonna be there. So yeah, I don't know about the AI, but I think it's the same question that should be raised about humans themselves, with a lot of kindness and intention, with a lot of kindness.
Yeah.
But take that mirror
Totally.
and look at yourself first, you know?
Yeah.
I love that. So, when it comes down to like AI and if it's biased or not, what I like to do is I look at who was the creator of the AI in itself. For example, ChatGPT is created by OpenAI, Bard is created by Google, and now Elon Musk is working on Truth GPT, right? So I think going back to who the parent company is matters because you can follow kind of like their beliefs, their ethos, the core values and stuff like that. When it comes down to like actually prompting the AI, like talking to ChatGPT or whatever the case is, I've noticed that the way that you talk to it also, it predicts how it should react to you. Like, as a joke, one day I acted like, I didn't even prompt it to Athens MC. I just said, yo, what's up, fam? And it replied back in slang. And I was like, that's hilarious. Because I didn't tell it to reply to me in slang, but it's predicted because of that kind of language, it should react to me in that scenario. So I think when it comes down to it, it's always use your human discretion. Like, always, always, always use your own discretion. It's still artificial intelligence, and it still needs human involvement. It's not 100%, human free yet. At least not yet. So, yeah, that's my viewpoint on that.
Thank you. And I just wanted to say, what you were saying is, I think as humans, we really have a habit to look outside ourselves for answers and to be saved. And it's a real issue, and so many of us are just learning how to save ourselves now. And so we're expecting this
Yeah.
outside technology thing to do it. It's a little bit insane, but okay. So, what impact does the increasing use of AI have on our ability to form meaningful connections with others?
Ooh.
And what role does emotional intelligence play in maintaining those connections? Got it?
Think so. So what role does AI play in connections?
In our ability.
Our ability to,
It's
which
the-
I love.
Like, it's our increasing use of it.
Yeah.
How is it impacting?
Yeah, totally. And if you want to see the answer to that, just look at technology without AI. How has that impacted our ability to connect with others? It's already diminished a lot, unfortunately, right? We text people, we don't call people, we don't do this enough, right? Like hang out with people and just chat in real life, right? So it already is impacting. I hope, actually, that with AI, we have to work less and spend less time in front of a computer screen so that it allows more time for us to hang out with humans and do creative things. Because a lot of us have lost our creativity as well. And creativity is something, or creative activities are things you can do with each other. And that's a very fulfilling human thing we can do, and that really builds connections. Where does AI come into it? We've kind of lost touch with ourselves, or at least society as a whole, right? Because of technology, because of social media and Facebook and all these things, online dating. A lot of us have forgotten what it's like to just interact and meet new people. So the more emotional intelligence you build within yourself, the more you can step away from the AI, step away from the computer and have a real connection with somebody one-on-one. And it's going to be a lot more fulfilling than anything you're going to get from the AI or from any computer or any robot. Maybe, what was that movie, Her? Right? Yeah. The movie Her, like, okay, that was very, very good AI, but it was also a movie. Will we get to that point? Maybe. And some people will be completely like entranced in their AI, robot, computer, whatever ends up being created. Because it's designed to be that. It's designed to be that good, right? So I think there's a choice that has to be made as well to look internally, right? To stay human and to want to connect with other human beings rather than something that just gives you dopamine hits because that's what it's programmed for.
Yeah, you select super right and super important and interesting. I wonder also if the topic of consciousness is not coming as added in the sense that why do you use the AI? What for do you use the AI? Is it indeed to connect to humans, or is it like to improve your productivity at work? Like, again, it's the why, and it's a little bit the intention, but why do you want to use it? And I think that also tremendously changes the question itself. Like, of course, it has impact. It has just using an AI and go faster, go quicker in what you do, for example, at work, is going to change the time that you have on the side. So what are you going to do with that time? Do you use it to consciously and meaningfully connect with others or not? Or do you expect it again like to come from the outside, to come from technology and whatsoever? And fine, I mean, there is no judgment out of that. Like, super good, like so many young people now expect connections and are looking for connections in the digital and immersive spaces. Like the statistics are super, super high. Is it good or is it bad? That's again another question. But what is connection then? What is connecting with people? Like, I'm sorry, I'm raising questions and more questions. That's not the purpose.
Get to them all.
Like, how do you define a connection? Like, if we're talking
Yeah.
about human connection and exchange of energy and I don't know, hearts, the heartbeats, like what makes your heart pump when we're talking now, when we're exchanging about a topic that passionates us. Can you have it with an AI? Probably, but you're not going to have it with a human then. So again, I think it's just about being conscious of what you're doing and what you expect out of it. It's not going to be the same with a machine, a robot, an AI, or with a human. Is it bad? No, I don't think so. It's just the outcome is not going to be the same one, and that's fine. It's just different types of outcomes that can come out of it, I think.
Because you're right, the heart beats, it's for humans. But I actually have a use case for it. And I have actually tried this myself with ChatGPT's help. Going back a little bit to building a little bit of bias, I did prompt ChatGPT to give me like gift ideas for people of a certain, category in business. For example, let's just say CEOs of marketing firms. And the prompt would be something like, what personalized gifts should I give them to enhance my relationship with them? I don't really have to think about that. Now I have ideas. I don't really have to go with the ideas, but I have more ideas to now go off of, right? So in that sense, like, depends how you use it, because you still need human connection. Like, you still need humans, right, to connect. But AI can definitely impact the way that you increase those relationships. And it's more like a relationship augmentation tool, if anything. Because you can then track your relationship that you're building, be a little bit more productive, set reminders and stuff like that to keep up with them. Because that's, as we do right now, like the way that we all live lives, everybody's, busy running around, and sometimes we lose touch with people, and it's just part of day-to-day life. But as you start building a list, I actually have a little bit of an ebook, but it's basically like, if I know, top 10 people in my life right now that I want to support in some way, shape, or form and provide value, and I prompt ChatGPT with like, I don't even have to give them like real names, but I can just say what they do or what projects they're working on. And I ask, how can I add value to their lives? How can I make their jobs easier? It'll give you ideas and examples. And that's also how you create value with relationships, right? You always want to be useful and helpful to other people to make that relationship even better. So for things like that, it has been really useful, but it still requires a human element that's connecting and the compliments and, and actually talking to people, and like we're doing right now, actually meeting in person in real life. So I agree with everyone here on the panel. This is a really good question again. Very, very good question.
I just want to comment that as someone who was born in the 1970s, I really miss like the fine art and the art I used to do and the connection I used to have, and like sitting in front of the computer all the time. I just feel like I just don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And it would be great if you could somehow like get AI to support us to be able to have more communication and more of that experience.
Yeah.
So we only have a few minutes left, and I do have a lot of other questions. We could be here for hours. But I wanted to see if anyone had particular questions. Okay, there's a couple. You raise your hand first.
Now we'll share the one mic.
I really feel like we're looking to the AI like something that it's going to happen, and it's so small and so. I really believe that AI is going to compete with humans in the world, that it's going to be a change maker, and we're not going to recognize the world for the next years, and it's going to be completely different. Please talk about this, about the real AI that it's coming, that it's going to change everything, and not about things that are beautiful.
I think part of that is that we don't know what's coming because it's not created yet, right? There's potential. You know, Facebook had two AIs that started talking with each other, created their own language, and they had to shut it down because we couldn't understand what they were talking about, right? So again, it kind of goes back to the first question. It's up to the creators to make sure that to make sure what is being created is not going to compete with us in ways we don't want to, right? Tesla has their Tesla bot, humanoid robot, which is coming soon, which is designed to be nice and not move more than 5 miles an hour so that you can outrun it, right? So it really is up to us, the creators of the AI, to make it in such a way that it doesn't compete in ways we don't want to. It's going to compete with like jobs, right? Just like technology does, all of that stuff. But it almost sounds like you think there's like an evilness coming, which, I mean, and there's evil people out there, right? I'm sure someone's going to create something that is an evil thing from AI, right? Of course. I mean, war is one of the biggest sources of innovation on this planet. So of course there's going to be weapons that are AI generated, and we don't know what's going to happen yet is the thing. We really just don't know. So I think we can take it a step at a time, and that's where I think the EI part comes in, right? Hold on, let's not build that yet. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss. And it's in the hands of whoever's creating, really.
Yeah, and what you're saying also refers to the face, and because it's AI and it's able to treat information so much faster than the human brain is coming, it is something to what you also said before, like errors are going to happen before human errors will happen anyway also, just it will take more time. So it's like also not about in the end having errors and failing before to learn from it. Like on another path, like the movie path, we would say the whole life is an experience and it's just a path. So yeah, again, like there is a question of what do we expect from AI, and then to some even more moving, like Buddha said, the only thing that doesn't change is change itself. Mm-hmm. So why are we so scared that things change? Yes, it can change to the good and to the bad, and it's going to happen so much faster because of the amount of data that can be treated, and it really goes back to how can we ensure there is human control, a little bit like benchmarks, I would say benchmarks along the way, knowing that along the way, for example, of an integration of an AI into a business project, how are you going to define your quality, actually quality measurements, and quality being which tools you work with, and one of them is AI. So I guess it's about those topics also.
When it comes down to like the news side of it, right? The news are reporting 300 million jobs are on the line. 8 out of 10 employees are going to be replaced. The best thing that we can do is just learn how to use AI for our skills that we have right now, because it's not going to be a matter of who's the best AI expert. It's going to be who's the best at whatever field you do, and just powered by AI. And that actually is that's already like, I've experienced that in my personal life as well. That is what's taking over right now. Immediately you increase in value because you become a super team, you become a super employee or a super worker, right? Your skills are augmented. So it's not necessarily a thing. If you're staying up to date and auditing your own life and your skills and what you can do and learn how to use AI and those things, you should be fine. You should be like riding the wave with it. Now, going back to like the uncertainty of it, even the developers don't know. Google's CEO, I think, said that it becomes this like black box that they don't even know. The CEO of Google, I think, also said that this is one of the most profound discoveries since the discovery of fire and electricity. So let that sink in for a minute, right? Fire and electricity, something that we've known all our lives, and AI is more important, more profound than that. It's really interesting. It's something that we're all here gathered talking about this topic, and as long as we continue staying informed and taking action and being proactive, we'll be able to rise with it and not be in this like era of uncertainty or fear. As other people have experienced, and this happens with every industry. Same thing happened with crypto, and crypto came out, Bitcoin came out. It's something that's going to continue happening, but it's never been so fast because of how fast AI is developing. Did that help?
Yeah.
We actually only have 2 minutes left, so we really don't have time to like fully answer any more questions. Is there anything that any of you would like to say or share with the last minute and a half that we have?
I'll just share one quick thing. When it comes down to like AI and EI, I think the biggest thing that comes up usually is fear. And just talking about what I was just saying, I don't. My intention is not to instill fear. It's more to just instill like knowledge and empower you to take action, right? Even if it's messy action, just 30 minutes a day or something playing with AI. That is what's going to make a difference, and you're gonna stand out. And it's already loose in the wilds that we can't really ignore it. We have to understand that it's here, and it's time for us to adapt and evolve with it as well. And the intention, right? The powerful intention to be positive is the use case of it.
1 minute left.
Yeah, I'll just say stay human, right? In our world of AI, where it is coming and it could take over the world, it could be the Matrix, right? Who knows? Elon Musk has a video where he's like, I hope the AI overlords are nice to us, right? Like, who knows what's coming? So I think staying human is the only thing we can do, and tapping into what makes us uniquely human, and that's something AI will never have, right? So that's my goal anyway.
Well, thank you. Thank you to all the panelists, and enjoy the rest of the festival.
Thank you.
Woo!